Hi Homeworthy, I'm Posey. Welcome to my house in Melbourne, Australia. I can't wait to show you guys what I created. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Posey. I'm a hairdresser and I own 2 hairdressing salons.
And I'm Marc, I work in construction.
And welcome to our house in Melbourne, Australia. So we originally were not looking to buy in Brighton. We were looking to buy in Sandringham and we just couldn't get the right property to stick for our price range. And this house was actually so run down and such a big dog's breakfast that they didn't even have it up online. Our twins were only 8 weeks old and had only been out of hospital for 2 weeks. And we were approached and hassled. They actually chased us down the street, right? To try and show us this house. And this guy's just like, it's so bad, it's so run down, we can't even take photos of it. This is what it looked like for its previous sale, but we think it would be the perfect fit for you guys and we can make it work for your budget. So we came and had a look, and this room we're actually sitting in now was their main bedroom. It looked so bad. This beautiful fireplace had been knocked down and it was just a hole in the back of it that we didn't work out actually until we bought it. But it just had these beautiful bones that we loved. All the cornices in all the room, the ceiling roses, it all just had this beautiful feeling about it. I've always wanted like an old English, house that I could make feel like a home, nothing modern, and put a whole lot of color into it. So we saw it and we made it work, and then we spent the next 7 years renovating it.
Yep. And for me, it's double brick, so it made it easy. So it wasn't gonna fall apart, could do what we wanted. And there we go. So the house was built in 1931 originally. The original owner built it himself. He had originally the block's 1,060 square metres. It's an old, almost Tudor English heritage. It's double brick. It's got really solid foundations, so it's easy to work with in terms of being able to modify and make it into what it is today.
So this is our formal living room. We really wanted to make this a space that we could use as a family to watch TV, but also for entertaining with friends, sitting around the fireplace and having a drink. This couch, again, I was very lucky to be hand-me-down from my auntie, so that worked out perfectly. And like I said, just always having some nice soft lamps. They're the only lighting that we have on in the house. It's really important for me to have lots of little trinkets around the house of my mum. One of my favorite ones is this key ring that was hers. So she was given this by my grandmother when she was pregnant with me because she kept losing her keys and they could never find them. So this kind of big clip just means so many memories, and I just remember Mum always having it in her bag, even from a little kid, and always hearing that story. This gorgeous old man is from my Uncle Fred, from Mount Eliza, who was married to my auntie, and it just always reminds me of all the trinkets that they have in their house. So when my mum passed away, I just wanted to take as much of her stuff from her house and bring it to ours as constant memories. These dishes were just a big part of family dinners with her and always being there. So finding a place for them to sit was always really important for us. The detail in the windows was one of our favorite things when we saw the house, and one part of the bones that we loved. These are kind of very old English details in windows, and even though it's a little bit warped and got a few cracks, we kind of love that gives us character and something you see as you first enter through the house. So when we moved into the house, we were absolutely disgusted to find that once the wardrobes that were originally along this wall they'd actually knocked out this whole fireplace that was originally here from when it was first built, and all we had was like a big hole in it. It took us about 3 years to even find someone that knew how to rebuild a fireplace because it's such an old trade. And finally we got it all rebuilt in, and it's something that we use every single night, almost in winter, especially when we're entertaining. So this tapestry of this beautiful lady was actually something that I found in my mum's garage that I knew she had done many, many years ago when she was a nurse. The story behind that was that as a nurse, she used to work on night shift in an x-ray ward, and in between the patients coming in, this is what she would do. And when I found it in her garage, it was all cracked and the glass, and it had been up at my grandparents' house for many years, and I was just so grateful when someone was able to restore it for me and we could find a beautiful place above the fireplace for it. So I love my two little Pinocchio men, the little one here and the big one on the floor that I found just in a gift shop, but Marc absolutely hates it. So it's definitely one of those things he has a strong feeling about, but you know, they're here and I'm hoping one day I never find them in the actual fireplace, so fingers crossed. So if I get to pick my spot in this living area, it's here, and Marc's will be there. Just, you know, sharing a glass of wine at night in front of the fireplace. It's my favorite thing to be able to do. And I find these chairs are super comfortable without making me want to go to sleep. Plus they're the best in front of the fire. This room has the most beautiful detailed cornices and ceiling roses. We had to spend a bit of time getting them restored when we first moved in, and there was a lot of, you know, chipping off all the paint, and they've just come up so beautifully. It was definitely one of our favorite things of the whole house when we first moved in. This is our dining room. I really wanted to keep this as a dining room. When we moved in, they kind of used this as a bit of a study, whereas I grew up sitting around a dining room for Christmas dinners and family dinners at my grandparents' house and my auntie's house, and even my mum in a small 2-bedroom flat, she had a dining room table. So it was really important for us to keep that and be able to do that. I love having Christmas Day here with either our smaller family or my extended. So, you know, finding that space to be able to set the table was really important for us. I love, you know, lamps and having some decorative books around. Again, these are little trinkets from my aunties and uncle's house down in Mount Eliza. They're just memories of when I spent a lot of time down there as a kid that I was able to bring into my house. This beautiful Chanel, you know, illustration was given to me from a client that said she didn't want it anymore and loved the style of it for my house. So this is just a nice little collection. I change this around a little bit depending on what I see and what I've got in my cupboards and what I want to pull out. I clearly love pink. Pink is my favorite color, and I'm very, very lucky that now Marc loves pink, it seems, as well. So I'm obviously very drawn to pink. As soon as my interior designer showed me any pattern, any color, I gravitate to pink. I actually had to make a really big effort to pull back from it in the house. Otherwise, I think it would literally look like a love heart everywhere. But, you know, these books and everything, the shakers, you know, everything's just got that underlining soft tone. I do love that in the dining room, we have a lot more of a look of like a, you know, earthy orange, which I don't really have anywhere else in the house. And I felt like it really matched in to pull in from those neutral colors in the front living room and moving them into the dining room. This table was one of our things that we actually bought as soon as we moved in, and we love that in the legs are in the middle, so you know you can sit quite a few around here without anyone having to sit awkwardly at a leg. You know, it's definitely used for homework, coloring in, painting, which is unfortunate, but that's what happens when you have 3 kids. So it's well loved and just a really happy space for us. These chairs, you know, that were one of Marc's things that he loved. He wanted to be able to sit comfortably at a dining room table for hours and hours. We do sometimes like the fireplace in here when we have guests over as well, which just gives you that really nice homely warm feel. So Marc and I saw this painting, and when we first looked at it, we absolutely loved it. I definitely saw it fitting straight away into the dining room because of the tones. And then one night we were sitting at our kitchen bench staring straight at it, and Marc was like, "That's a rabbit." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not meant to be a rabbit. It's meant to be layers of paint." You know, the artist had explained that all to me, and he said, "No, it looks like a rabbit with red squares coming out of its bum." And ever since I've seen that, I've never been able to forget it and not see it. So it might be one of those artworks that eventually gets replaced in the house, because once you see a rabbit in your artwork, I don't know, it's not really my vibe anymore, but it does still work tonally through the house. So it's staying here for now. So this fireplace, we do sometimes love to light. It doesn't get lit often, but it is just so cool to have a second fireplace. This painting, we saw this artist called Layla Millie, and she's French, and we'd seen it, I think literally on Facebook she came up. And one day Marc messaged me when he was at work and just said she's having a fire sale. Quick, is there any ones that you want? And we managed to get our hands on this beautiful floral painting. It actually was put above this fireplace not long after we moved in, and none of the other colour palette had been designed. So really the whole dining room did come a lot from the colours in this painting. Luckily, there's a lot of pink in there, but we did work off this for the rest of the room. So I love having these pelmets above all my windows that I have curtains. I just find that it makes it feel a lot, more grand, a lot higher, and it just finishes off without having to see that curtain roll. This pattern is actually in our kitchen as well, and I just loved it so much as soon as I saw it, and just really spoke to me. So the renovation, we really started as soon as we moved in, even though we had like $0 to do anything with. We wanted to turn this room straight away back into a front living room. However, it definitely was a tools room for the better part of 2 years. We put a wall up between the kitchen and where our bedroom is now so that we could turn it back into a 3-bedroom house. My first priority was to kind of get the outside looking as green as possible, just knowing that gardens take such a long time to grow, and I always wanted to be able to look out and see green wherever you looked outside of the window. So firstly, once we kind of did that wall in the back bedroom, we started to look at doing the outside, and I then decided one day that I definitely wanted to paint the outside of the house. And I thought that the outside of the house would be best being white. So Marc spent a whole weekend painting the whole of the outside of the house white with a crane to get up to all the top parts. And then I hated it. So I was telling my cousin who lives around the corner how much I hated it. And one morning she popped in about 8 o'clock with a brochure and said, you should definitely paint it all black. Like, it does look terrible white, and I think it should be black. So that night before Marc got home from work, the whole of the outside of the house that I could reach had been painted black. And I hadn't even told him what was happening, so.
And I got to come home and continue painting till about 11 o'clock at night because it looked terrible.
It looked terrible. So we got the whole house, all the outside kind of done quite quickly, and then we just picked off room by room for the next 7 years.
Most of the construction I kind of led or had friends help me. We've got a friend who's a really handy carpenter, so he'd come and chip in on weekends and at nights to do bits and pieces. We stopped for COVID for 2 years because Posey's shop shut down and I was busy doing stuff with work, so.
We had no money to keep going because the shop was shut down. So
we had a little pause and we boarded up one section of the house for the better part of 18 months, and then as we came out of the back end of COVID, we committed to it and we finished the whole thing off.
If we ever moved again, I would really want to live in the space, for a good year or 18 months, live in the seasons in the house, because, you use a house differently depending on the seasons, and especially in Melbourne, our seasons go like this, and we have quite strong different seasons. And after living here for a whole year, 18 months, we changed the way that we lived in the house. The kids' ages change the way that you also live in a house. And so just taking your time to work out where the light comes in, where's the warmth, where's the functionality around the house, and don't rush and don't be afraid to change your mind, and take your time sitting on an idea and talking about it. I think we spent, the first, 6-7 years where every single night, especially if we had a drink, that was like all we spoke about is ideas. We could do this, thinking about this, looking at inspo, asking for people's opinion, especially people maybe who are older or have had kids before, and how their life worked around depending on what was going on with their family. So the kitchen was actually the hardest room for Marc and I design through the whole house. We had 4 different designs and we kept changing our mind. We have 3 kids, so it has to be functional, and both working a lot, but I still spend plenty of time in the kitchen, whether it's lunchboxes, dinners, breakfasts. And we just found that this ended up being our best design for a 3-bedroom house. I absolutely love pink, clearly, and originally I really pushed maybe to have a full pink kitchen, but I definitely second-guessed myself a little bit and ended up with just a pink island bench. It's definitely one of my favorite little pops of color throughout the whole house that you wouldn't expect. One thing that was not negotiable for me was a fridge behind the cupboards. You can see this from so many points throughout the whole house, and I just wanted it to look really nice and sleek, and that you just couldn't tell what was going on. It all looked nice and neat. The fruit bowl, you know, the tower, it's something that just gets used 24/7 in our house. Our kids eat a lot of fruit, and I was just finding replenishing it all the time, going to the supermarket. So nice and big, everyone can just come and help themselves. It doesn't always look this pretty, but it is nice when it does. So we decided to go, I really wanted to go with that brass finish throughout the whole house. And so all the knobs have got, you know, brass, and our tapware is brass. It was just something that I'd seen and really loved. These white tiles actually have a bit of a pink underlying tone, and I'm obsessed with them. I really wasn't sure about an all white kitchen, but I also am very aware that not everyone loves pink or all these bright colors. So these are one of my favorite finds, because if you look at them for a while, you can see all the different tones and colors in the background. Another little trinket that came from my auntie's house down at Mount Eliza. I'm quite lucky. I feel like every time I go down there, I'm able to take up something else that's nice and little from her. And I just love having all these bits around the house that speak to me and make it feel more homely. It's like, I think it's meant to be for like someone who bakes and puts like a little cake there, and then you know, keep it all fresh. I don't really have a lot of time to bake, but sometimes if I do, I feel like I could use it then. Another lamp, you know, it was always my vision to be able to find a spot for a nice lamp for in the kitchen, you know, at night, to give that nice romantic lighting. And this cup is another thing that my mum used to use all the time for coffee. So it sits there, which is just a nice way to see it every morning when we wake up and in the kitchen doing breakfast and everything. So this room is highly used in our house. Funnily enough, Marc and I end up sitting in here more, and the kids seem to be in the front formal room. I don't know, work that one out, probably because I'm in the kitchen a lot. This artwork here on this wall is definitely my favorite in the whole of the house. So we did spend a lot of time to try and find an artwork this size. We spent a lot of time questioning whether or not we would knock down this whole wall in the whole renovation. Marc was not happy with that, about trying to knock that down. He said that was like kind of rebuilding the whole house. So here it is. We love this gel bell. So this is a cowboy, you know, with her cowboy boots on, drinking a moonshine, and it's from two Torquay artists, gel bell, and we love it. The couch was designed really around, I had this, you know, custom design for us, and it was designed really around this space and making this, you know, area feel as big as possible, but also easy to move through, because it's a walkway, you know, from the kitchen to the bathroom and to the bedrooms as well. I love that it's like on a corner, you know, it's in an L shape, you know, you really sink into it. It's super comfortable. It was made out of, you know, outdoor fabric in the hope that you wouldn't see all the marks that kids leave around. But, you know, like we said, we let our house be lived in by 3 kids. And so things just, you know, sometimes the marks you've just got to put up with. I love our gallery wall. It's just got all our, you know, pictures from family members and the kids when they were younger, just beautiful memories. I love when people walk into the house, they look at it, it's just really pretty and beautiful to see those memories all the time. One of my favorite things about this room is this cute little bit of artwork that Dusty did, my 8-year-old daughter. She did that in prep at art class, and I just love the colors that she picked, and I thought she loves seeing it framed up. It's definitely her favorite thing. She shows people all the time. Flowers just genuinely make me happy. One of our favorite things to do is go to the South Melbourne market in Melbourne on a Saturday or a Sunday, get some, you know, dim sims or something to eat for the kids for lunch, and picking up a whole lot of bunches of flowers and setting them out throughout the house. And yeah, these are my little artichoke flowers. I haven't had them before, but I think they're super cute, and I think they'll probably become a little bit of a staple, because I'm hoping they'll last a little while in the house. So my color, like, I don't know, I like to say it looks like a unicorn for up in our house. Like, there is just color absolutely everywhere, and I'm very, very lucky that I get to do whatever I want. And these days Marc turns around and actually likes all the feminine and pink and everything in the house. My cousin and my family, I guess, always had quite a strong sense of style, and, you know, it was always about making a home, you know, and feeling like a home and warmth as you walked into the house. My cousin, you know, around the corner, she has a very similar style that's bright and colorful, and she also has an English style house that I grew up in and loved. And so when we saw this one, that was definitely a big draw card. I mean, I definitely have copied her quite a lot on a lot of things, and definitely ask her opinion on everything. But the house just looks it's colourful and it's homely, and I definitely feel like I took that style and ran with it, and I just think colour makes you feel happy, and it's bright and it's joyful, and I just think, yeah, we were just definitely not into the greyish beige sign. Just wanted to be happy and colourful for us.
We've had a phase of pink curtains. I think I get to have my little inputs on probably the structure of the architecture, I guess. So things you wanted, for instance, our bedroom has a wallpapered ceiling. So setting that up so it actually looks functional rather than just one, I guess, monotone space. I was able to influence that, so it kind of has nuances to it, so it actually works as a room. But generally, no, I just shrug my shoulders, as they say, happy wife, happy life, and generally she's pretty happy.
Yeah. Welcome to the master bedroom, our most colourful room of the house. My favourite detail by far for this room is the fact that I was able to convince Marc and our wallpaper man, Ronnie, to put wallpaper all over the ceiling. I'm obsessed with this wallpaper with all the different colours. The kids, when we wake up in the morning, they spend a lot of time counting the colours. You know, I spy with the colours, and I don't know, it's just so interesting, and it makes me feel so happy at night when I get into bed and I'm just looking around at all this beautiful colour in this room. Once we picked the wallpaper, everything just kind of went from there with my interior designer. I really loved the idea of the skirting and the door frames all being in a bold colour as well. I really feel like in your master bedroom, you know, it's for you and it's what makes you happy. And this is why I felt so comfortable to go so colourful in this bedroom. And I was very lucky that Marc was on board with this, and he was just happy to do his thing, which is happy wife, happy life. One of my favourite things is these 3 pictures. This is another tapestry that my mum had done that I found in her house, and we had it framed up, and I was so grateful when it matched in with all the colour tones. These illustrations are from a little side brand that I have called Bompies, and that was just something we had done for the brand, as well as this gorgeous one of, I love the idea of the husband reading to, you know, his girl in the bath. Not that that ever happens to us, but I think it's such a nice romantic idea, and I think it works in this room so well. They're from a gorgeous Australian illustrator called Alexandra Nay, and I just love her work. Having a padded headboard and all beautiful cushions is definitely an idea that I got from my cousin. I was always obsessed with her master bedroom from a little kid, which was set up very similar to this. I love just how cozy and soft it feels, you know, while you're in bed and sitting in bed and reading. It's just such a lovely feeling. I'm really lucky that this is my whole wardrobe, and I kicked Marc out to the spare room. So I just loved the idea of having a really big wardrobe. We tried to talk about doing a walk-in wardrobe in this space, and I just felt like we were going to lose a lot more room trying to do a walk-in wardrobe than we would have, you know, doing this big long wall of cupboards. The pink details with the leather on the doorknobs is one of my favorite details of the whole room. Along with this gorgeous couch at the end of our bed. I absolutely love when Frankie came to live with us. He is a little bit older, he's 11, and so he doesn't always spring right up onto the bed. And to Marc's absolute hatred, he sleeps on the end of our bed. So the couch is just a nice little hopping point for him to get up onto our bed and makes it a little bit easier for us. So this is our bathroom, but because there's 2 showers in there, most of the time the 3 kids just shower in here all together, and it just makes life a little bit easier. I have a gorgeous pedestal sink that we actually kept from when we renovated one of my salons like 8-9 years ago. And I said to Marc when we redid that bathroom, please keep that, because I will want to put that into one of our bathrooms eventually when we have our old house. It's the color green as this paint is, and so that's really where we drew that color from for the woodwork in the bedroom to really bring it all through and make it seamless. Another super fun feature that I love of our bathroom is the fabric around the lights and in the blind is the same pattern that our wallpaper is in our bedroom. So just, you know, matching it all up together and making it all clash but work is one of my favorite things to do. So this little space out here just makes our bedroom feel more like a master like sanctuary rather than just a bedroom. It originally was just steps that then went down to kind of an empty space. And I convinced Marc, you know, one day to build it all up and make it all level. And then we had chairs built in. The kids on, you know, summer holidays and on weekends when the weather is sometimes beautifully warm in Melbourne, we lie out here in the mornings. We have breakfast out here, coffees. You know, you can lie out in the sun. It's my son's Archie favorite place of the whole house, and it just makes you feel like you're in your own little space away from everything else. So this is our laundry, which is actually right off our bedroom, which is why we put such amazing wallpaper in it. Although I did always secretly want a laundry that looked so beautiful, maybe it made me want to do my washing. It still doesn't, but I am very lucky my mother-in-law does do quite a lot of that for me. But yes, this wallpaper was definitely deliberately done to clash with the bedroom wallpaper, but also work because you do see it from both the bedroom as well as other parts of the room. These curtains that hang, you know, in front of my washing machine and my dryer are unbelievably impractical, but one of my favorite things about the laundry. It just gives it that really soft, different feminine feel. And I love when I do spend the time to hang them and they're looking all perfect like they are today. My favorite thing about my home is the fact that it feels lived in with kids. And they are allowed to, you know, it doesn't always look this perfect, and it also doesn't, they're meant to feel like it's their house, and that we have, you know, at stages we can have 10 kids running around while we've got friends over and entertaining, as well as all the different family kind of bits and bobs that I have. My mum passed away a couple of years ago, and I've got quite a lot of her things around the house that I find, you know, really special because it gives me a really big reminder of every day, and it makes her feel like a part of our lives.
I like my house to feel like a home, so I guess we deliberately carpeted the bedroom spaces, the spaces where the kids hang out. It's nice to get up and walk in, have carpet to sit on, to play on. It's nice under your feet. It's generally pretty robust, which is a key thing for like the kids. They're 3, kids under 8, and they like to smash into stuff. So our walls are all pretty hardy, so when they draw on them, we can repaint them. The wallpaper's a problem. I don't love when they draw on the wallpaper because
Just means I get to pick new wallpaper though when they draw on it too much.
This is true. But yeah, no, it feels like a home, and each evolution as we've changed things has made it. We've tweaked things to make it feel that next step of just that you can relax into it and enjoy it.
So this is my kids' room. Yes, we have all 3 of them sleeping in one room. So we have 8-year-old twins and a 4-year-old. And when you have twins, they don't sleep in different rooms as babies. They sleep, you know, almost next to each other in a cot. And then they sleep, you know, in little beds, and they get in bed with each other, and you quite often find them together in the morning. So when we went to do this room, we knew that this was where all our kids were going to sleep. Kids love sleeping in here together. Yes, sometimes bedtime, they can be a little bit more mucking around, you know, talking and chatter, but it's really the cutest thing to hear. And I just think it's such a special part of their childhood memories that they all got to go to sleep in the same room. And it's just so comforting. I actually think my twins have only slept apart maybe 3 times in their whole life. So it's not something that I can see changing anytime soon. And I just don't even know if they would want to sleep apart or whether they could, to be honest, if they were in the same house. I really wanted this to still be like a fun playroom, but you know, for the kids, for their bedroom, but obviously I still wanted it to be stylish and practical. The drawers underneath and up the stairs means more storage and easier to keep things organized and clean. And now with 3 kids as well, we use some of it for clothes and storage like that. These hot air balloons we got when the twins were first born. My in-laws actually bought them for us, and we had 2 above each of their bunks. And Kit was also given 2, and so we have them scattered through the bedroom. And I just love that all of them got given hot air balloons when they were born, and it's hopefully something that they can then take themselves and use for their children or give them to their children. I think it's just such a cute little, you know, thing, decor, but also meaningful as they've all got their own set. These artwork I actually had for a very long time before we even moved into the house. The I love you to the moon and back was a saying that my mum and I used to say to each other all the time. So I bought it when I was first moved out of home, and I always loved the color in it, as well as just the saying is super cute. The butterflies just match really well in with this, you know, with them as a little set. And it was something that I was like, always would look so cute in a kid's room, nice and colorful, you know, not, you know, gender neutral. And yeah, they're two of my favorite things in this room. So this is our main bathroom, the kids' bathroom, and then our guest bathroom. So fun fact about this is I actually tiled this myself during a COVID lockdown. Marc was still able to go to work, the salons were shut, and the twins were able to go to their care. So I had about a week when Kit was a baby in between her sleeps, and I, you know, tiled this. Marc would come home and he would do the cuts and he would finish off all the lines. And I'm proud of myself. Marc says there's a line that makes it look very uneven, but yeah, I tiled this bathroom. This picture is a slim Aaron, and I absolutely love having a painting in our bathroom. It definitely freaks people out because this lady feels like she watches you wherever. So when you're sitting on the toilet, it does look like she's watching you, and it's definitely something all our guests comment on, which I love. It's something quirky, it's something different. So this is our spare room, our playroom. This is where Marc's clothes are kept. And I don't know, I love this space. This couch was the starting inspo for this. So this couch actually folds out to be a bed. We do have guests come and stay with us from the country because Marc's from the country in Victoria, but I didn't want a full spare room to be taken up by a bed the whole time. The kids spend a lot of time playing in here, whether it's Lego or, you know, Duplo or anything else, building bricks or just having fun, you know, when they've got friends over. The wallpaper is one of my favorite things about this room. I love that it's just so delicate and it's so neutral, but it still makes such a big impact. I love that I have a pink couch, even if it is in my spare room, of course. And yeah, it's just really, really practical. I love the way that we designed this to be such a multi-use space in our house. I always loved working. I started working in a hairdressing salon when I was 13. I much preferred work than school. I'm dyslexic, so school was really hard for me, and it was so nice when I started working as a Saturday girl, you know, even just sweeping hair and washing hair and everything to feel really good and naturally good at something for really the first time. And I finally started my apprenticeship when I was 21 and I just loved it. I won Apprentice of the Year, which was really exciting. When I had been qualified for about 18 months to 2 years, I opened up my first salon, and that was just little old me. And then by the first year, I built it to 3 staff members, and then 3 years later, I opened my second one because of the demand just around the corner. And I've now had those businesses for 11 years. And this year, for the first time, you know, in a long time, I felt like I really wanted to get back to being a little bit more creative and not just worry about paying super and the books and paying the bills and everything. And I entered for the first time Victoria Hairdresser of the creative side. So I got to do a wonderful photo shoot with a really talented team, and I was nominated, which is really exciting. And I'll find out in a couple of weeks if I win. But yeah, it was so great to feel creative with color and my style and feel more confident in myself to be able to actually do something like that. Welcome to our entryway. I love that you start the house with like its own little designated entryway. I always like to have lamps in all my spaces. I hate big overhead lighting, and I just want it to feel nice and warm and homely when you walk in. This piece of artwork is one of my favorite in the whole house. It's a little family portrait of us that was hand illustrated. It's set in Melbourne City. Marc and I started dating in Melbourne City. We got married in Melbourne City, and this is at the Botanical Gardens. We actually had it created just before Kit was born. So fun little fact, she was just kept blank until she was born, and then we had it put in. And I love that you kind of walk into the house and it's not like an in-your-face portrait. It's just this soft, colorful, you know, little family. I love having like a lamp, like I said, and a table, and I just leave my bag here and work bads, but there's also this curtain as a little fun fact. is really, really great for storing anything underneath it that you don't want to be seen but used all the time. The scallops, you know, they match the rugs, and I just felt like it was the perfect little table to fit into the entryway. So these photos are from our wedding. They're my favorite 4 photos that we had from the collection. We got married in Melbourne City. So I'm very lucky that I have a cousin who sometimes gives me some beautiful hand-me-downs. This chair is one of them. And it was just perfect. I love the idea of a chair in your entryway, so you can just sit down and feel comfortable, put your shoes on. It's just a really nice welcoming place to have one. Family. Home means to me. I feel like wherever you're at home, it feels like family, comfort, relaxing, you know, enjoyment. I think you should really enjoy your home, whichever way you use it. It should be enjoyment all the time, and a happy place and a safe space for you and your family, your kids.
Yeah, and home for me, I guess, is, I take it back to a Sunday. We just had a wet, rainy weekend here, and Sunday was a few drinks, the fire was lit, the kids watched a movie on the couch with the fire. That's what it is. It's,
yeah.
Everyone's
a space you want to spend your
relaxing.
time.
Yeah, that's the key.
Homeworthy, it was so much fun showing through my house, but I've got a client in a few minutes, so I need to get back to the salon. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.